Zoners. What's going on? It's Mr. Five in the Zone. Back with a picture perfects conversation. With my photo guide over here. And I'm gonna act like we've never met before. And I'm gonna learn about you as you tell the great people origin story and how you came into being a photographer and doing the great things that you're doing. So, Mr. Photo Guide, introduce yourself to the picture perfects conversation.
Hello, everyone. My name is Marcelo, and I specialize in fashion photography, editorial. It's been one of my loves for a very long time. That's what I'm always chasing that perfect photo, and being creative and letting kind of just um, leaving room for something to be better than what I imagined.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
I hijacked the first question that I'm gonna ask you from my favorite movie, Brown Sugar, and it's very near and dear to my heart. And I figure I flip it and utilize it because it's that profound. In the movie, the main question is, when did you fall in love with hip hop? So I'm gonna ask you, my friend, when did you fall in love with photography?
Yeah, great question. I started, I was probably about like 6 or 7 when I saw that my brother had a really nice Canon camera. And at that time, I remember distinctly feeling like that at first looked like it was just something that resembled a toy that, how can he be using this as a tool. And so it inspired me to know that that could be something that even adults are using, but is also fun. So, that really triggered something in me, that always stayed on my mind, that there's something to this.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? That it looks like fun. And I know that it people carry it on to an older age. So from there, I started really appreciating great photos at that time.
Absolutely.
And then little by little, I started to get more involved in different styles of photography. And then once I saw great black and white photography, there was no turning back at that point. Yeah, it was trying to recreate that. At first, it was just being fascinated by that, So um, that was really what propelled it, black and white photography.
Yeah. What year was this?
We're talking about like late 1990s.
Okay.
Maybe like 97, 98, around there.
Okay.
Yeah.
Just trying to give context in regards to photography, like over the past 30 years, like photography has changed so much where now we're in this digital age. But around that time, we're probably a little more analog.
Yeah.
A little more film.
Yeah.
So like what's the correlation between those beginning days of starting off with photography and seeing it evolve and how it helps you navigate through today?
Yeah. So I could see back in the day that how much potential digital photography had, digital cameras, but they just weren't up to par with film cameras at that point.
Absolutely.
There was a tipping point at some point.
Yeah.
And then that's when I really wanted to invest in a good digital camera, or as best that I could afford at that time.
Absolutely.
But in the beginning, for me, the safe way was just disposable cameras.
Yeah.
That was my main outlet. That was my main tool at that time. So experimenting was very difficult.
Yeah.
Because it was costly, especially for a kid.
Yeah. I was gonna say it was an accessible route to take because you could have went to Walmart, Walgreens, or anywhere to grab those. Where your film camera or your professional camera a little harder to get to.
Right.
But it made it easier first starting out to get that because you could just go to Walmart and go grab something else and go get you a film camera.
Right. Yeah.
Or one of those disposable cameras.
Yeah. So the disposable, was my thing. That was how I got started. and it was a lot of trial and error. But to be honest, I just didn't know enough about photography at the time. I didn't know about the settings,
Yeah.
and all this and that. But once I started to see that digital cameras had enough megapixels to compete with the film look, that's when all the testing, the trial and error really began.
Yeah.
And that was the most important step for me to feel more comfortable with my skill level at that point.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
What are some of those things that like helped you navigate to get to as proficient as you are today? Like, what are some of those trial and error moments or exercises that one must go through, in your opinion, or what you have that you had to go through to get proficient in it now?
Yeah, I think a big part of that is not only my settings on the camera, because I think, to be honest, that is not to me so much of a challenge because I could dial it in. I think really what's helped me a lot lately is looking at the ideal situation where we have the perfect lighting outside.
Yeah.
Of very highs, and low lows.
Yep.
And recreating that in the studio. So that's really the big challenge right now.
Absolutely.
And the beauty of it, where I see that I'm recreating the perfect setting that I saw outside.
Yeah.
So it's a combination of things. It's what I have internally in the camera.
Yeah.
And it's what I have externally, and trying to really blend those and get as close as possible to the perfect photo, between those two, that balance.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
It's interesting you say that, because as you were saying that, it made me think about how I look at it and how I approach it. And not to say one is different or right or wrong, but as soon as you said it, it was like I distinctly try to keep both of the worlds separate. I don't want them to bleed. And I can't tell you why. And I never even thought about that until you said that. And I just thought about maybe the shoot I just did on Saturday and how it was outside. But I didn't take the same approach like I typically take inside the studio. That's interesting that you have that knowledge and that know-how of how you navigate in both settings and how you want to blend the two. I never paid attention to that. That's interesting that's on your frontal.
Yeah, and this is one maybe thing that some people can take away from this idea on what we just touched upon, is when we're outside and we have the perfect sunset hour, the golden hour, and we get that the perfect light and shadows. Well, the reality is that once we have our settings dialed in our camera and this and that, we just have to move around to the right spot.
Absolutely.
The shadows are already there.
Yeah.
They're moving slowly, and everything is adjusting. But it's slow enough where we could be the ones that are moving. And then when we're in the right spot, well, all we need to do is, not everybody, but me personally, is bring that perfect balance back into the studio.
Absolutely.
And from there, I do variations of that, where, okay, well, maybe I don't want it just as bright, but it's a good starting point.
Yeah.
It's an anchor point.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, I understand completely. I never really heard it explained like that. So that was fascinating. And actually like took me back to even just analyzing my process. And I've never thought about it like that, which is fascinating that the two worlds coming together and how you approach. Because I don't even know if I do. Maybe I just don't think about it. The fight between the balance within your highlights, and controlling the contrast and making sure your shadows aren't too deep. Where you lose detail in it, like. I don't know. I'm probably paying attention to it more in the studio than I am outside. So that was just great for me to hear you say that, because that's the level of detail that photographers have that a lot of people, the average person, won't recognize or appreciate, right? And trying to ensure they create that perfect image.
Right. By contrast, it would be like me saying we have nighttime outside. That, in a sense, is like a studio lighting. Now we bring what we learned inside the studio and bring it outside now. Yeah.
Okay.
So if it's dark in the studio, for example, pitch black, and we start setting up our lights, start setting up our reflectors, our shadows, and our highlights, and then we take that outside to the nighttime.
Yeah.
Well, we're blending the inside to the outside.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like I said, currently I'm just trying to recreate that perfect, beautiful, Kelvin that we see at sunset.
Yeah.
And bring that inside and let that be my starting point. Yeah.
Okay.
But they both reflect each other in a sense.
Yeah.
And for me, I'm fascinated by bringing one into the other's worlds.
Absolutely.
The controlled into the one that doesn't have those things, where by contrast, the sunset, bringing it into the controlled environment where we have to recreate it.
Absolutely.
Yeah. And it doesn't have to be a warm color. You know what I mean? It could be red. It could be green. It could be whatever you want inside the studio.
Yeah.
And vice versa as well.
Yeah. How did because the two worlds, the what you're saying of blending the two, but the control factor of not necessarily having the control outside. As a photographer, how did you navigate through being able to control the outside, even though you don't have the control per se, and bringing that into the studio? How have you navigated with that? Like, how was that learning curve of learning how to make the perfect image outside where there was less control to coming inside and having a confidence when you have all the control?
Yeah, I'm going to try to navigate through that question the best I can.
Mm-hmm.
So when the thing is, for me, like, outside is already has its own aesthetic.
Mm-hmm.
And so, as I mentioned, we're just moving to the areas that grab our attention. You have a certain levels of control outside, but you definitely, in a sense, you have less, but you just have to do more once it gets darker.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? You have to do more. It doesn't even have to be pitch black, just like when it gets starting to get darker, or when it's way, way, way bright. I feel like that's more of a challenge, because you're trying to like create shade. You know what I mean? So it has its own challenges, but I'm not going to say that inside is easier. It's just like I just draw inspiration from what I'm seeing outside. You know what I mean?
Okay.
Because it's like outside is a stage that was already set. And if I don't like it, I'm just going to go somewhere else and keep moving around until I find it. And then, there's just so many things that are clashing together. You know what I mean? So many things, like, because at the end of the day, what we're creating individually is our own path. Like, there's no right or wrong. Right. It's just a matter of like, what is the target? Yeah. You know what I mean?
Absolutely.
Like, there's for example, there's a really high level of like high definition resolution photos that we can create nowadays. But some of us don't want that. You know what I mean? Like, we have that ability, but we want it to look like the 70s now.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Or we want it to look like a really old camera.
Yep.
This and that.
The film look.
Right.
Absolutely.
Whereas others are just trying to get as detailed as possible.
100%.
And they're not wrong either.
100%. It actually makes me upset because I've spent so much time, and not in a real way, but in a jokingly way, I spent so much time to understand how to get perfection, and now people want the imperfections, right? They want that film look, or they want that grain, or some do. So, and it has its place. But when people are asking for, that creative style, if you will, I was like, no, I spent a lot of hours learning how to get the perfect picture. Right. Like, no, you're going to get this one, So it's funny how things are coming back around. And, I wasn't paying attention. And now that I think I'm at a level where the aesthetic is pleasing, people are looking for that creativity that, I thought I had originally. I just didn't know. And I was just doing what felt right. And people are still looking for that, or they're looking for it more so now, especially in the social media era,
Yeah.
and being able to post that and show their friends and all that stuff.
Yeah, there's so many things coming together nowadays, and it's going to keep going like that.
Yeah.
You know, where I think it's an amazing thing when we have a photographer, you know, slash artist who creates their own style, and then just people seek that artist slash photographer for their style.
Yeah.
They stuck to it. They perfected that 80s look.
Yeah.
And they know, people know that they can go to that person and they're not going to be disappointed with what they're going to get.
Absolutely.
Because they know exactly what they're going for.
Absolutely.
You know? And then there's that other side where, you know, the people, the fans, the people that the clients, they're the ones that are creating the demand for a certain thing.
Yeah.
So that's where the photographer has to decide, like, hey, am I going to stick to my side?
Yeah.
And you know, keep going with, like you said, keep perfecting what I've been trying to perfect.
Yeah.
Or, you know, like understand, like, hey, there's a high demand for this right now.
Yeah.
Should I go into that? Should I, you know, split into those two things and create both? You know what I mean? But at the end of the day, you know, you're going to perfect whatever you spend the most time on.
Absolutely.
So if if you love that 80s look, you can perfect it, and you know you'll be known for that.
Absolutely.
So,
you spark a question is that I'll ask you is, does the artist or the creative create what's popular or the style, or is it the people? Like, which one?
Yeah.
Do you think?
Well, I think at the end of the day, the people always decide what is popular. You know, it's like they vote with their likes.
Yeah.
You know what's going to be big, and it only takes one or a couple people to create that very genuine, unique, amazing new trend.
Yeah.
And you know, it's like, it just takes a vision. Like, you know, I think those great creators really block themselves out and just really listen to themselves and create just something very unique. But it takes a lot of blocking out. It takes a lot of not listening to what's going on around you to create that very genuine, aesthetic.
Yeah.
And then they have to really, in a sense, not care what people think.
Absolutely.
And they have to have a means of living where, you know, they're going to be able to do this.
Yeah.
And not care so much about the dollar, but just really protect and hone their craft.
Yeah.
And then the people will recognize it, and maybe they won't, you know, maybe they won't in their lifetime, you know, but that's I think what it takes. All those great pioneers, I think that's what they did.
How do you personally navigate that, creating what you like when you love, and creating vice going and creating what other people want?
Yeah.
Or what other people demand?
Great
How
question.
do you navigate that?
Yeah. Great question. I love that question. For me, I think what I do is, what's working for me is, I have my vision in the background where I'm never going to forget it. This is going to be what I'm going to pioneer, and what's going to make me different. And then finding a blend between what the people are looking for and want, but always incorporating that vision, you know? And then there's always the side of me that is also creating something for the people that I know that they're looking for, and always injecting my style into that as well.
Yeah.
But I think it's important for me to never forget, like, the reason why I started, and also the reason, like, where I'm going with it, like what excites me nowadays. Yeah. And what excites me is always going to be my version, my pioneering, you know? So it's a little bit of both.
Okay.
So, yeah.
There's so many rules in photography. And when you're even creative, or when you're doing a client work and you're on a gig, some of those rules have to be adhered to. Some of them you throw out the window. What are some photography rules, or a rule that you were probably a stickler on at the beginning of your journey that now you're a little more flexible when it comes to creating or getting a shot.
Yeah. I think possibly that I used to think that it had to be perfectly like high definition. You know what I mean?
Okay.
Whereas now I do like desaturated looks. Yeah.
Okay.
You know, and I think naturally, I think the younger you are, like if you're like 10 years old or something, you're looking at a photo and you're like, or even a painting, and you don't quite understand it, it doesn't go with what you're used to.
Yeah.
You kind of turn away from it. You know, you're not satisfied with it.
Right.
And then you start to develop your own style. And so, yeah, I think that that's the most obvious one for me. Like low contrast photos, making them look vintage.
Yeah.
You know, that type of thing. Yeah,
Okay.
yeah. That used to be a rule that it's not a rule anymore. So, yeah, you know, so yeah.
That finding the balance and the traditions of it all, and then like we mentioned, that creative voice and allowing it to speak, even if it's just so subtle and so softly. Navigating through that could be difficult, and it's a challenge, right? Because even like we mentioned earlier, trends dictate. Oftentimes it could dictate how a shooter shoots. One that's not very confident in their ability may easily change, or somebody that may be hard-headed as me is like, cool trend, I'm not shooting that because that's not for me. That those are some things that photographers have to navigate through, that I don't think a lot of people understand. I think we get a good sense of it now because of social media, and people will talk about it more, or you'll see it. And there's forums like this where you can actually express it. But that's important to understand, like navigating, because it always changes. Even for your big campaigns and your big businesses, they're paying attention to what's working on social media, and where they would once ask for, a high dynamic range photo, right? Maybe now they want the film look or the creative style, right? To advertise their products or their services. So
Right.
being flexible enough to adjust to that it is a challenge that I don't think a lot of people understand.
Right. Yeah. It's I gotta say that as a photographer, sometimes I can get confusing.
Yes.
Because it's like, well, you want to make a living, you want to be creative, and it's like, which one do you want?
Absolutely.
But at the end of the day,
can you have both?
Yeah, exactly. Can you can you share that platform within yourself? You know what I mean? Like your skill level, your creativity, and is it creating demand as well? You know what I mean? I feel like there's probably some safe routes where it's like you learn good lighting.
Yeah.
You learn your settings, and you know what's going on today.
Yeah.
That's always a safe way.
Yeah.
And there's nothing wrong with that as well.
Yeah.
But if you have the freedom to really, really explore what is within you, that fun part about photography, do it. Do it, even if you're not getting paid for it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Interesting you said, and not to nitpick your words, but I like how you used it. The word safe and artist, which to me just seems contradicting of the two. Because those that are artists typically aren't thinking about they're thinking about self-expression, right? And creating that thing that just, is sitting in their heart. And oftentimes big companies or big businesses may want that, but they want it tailored to maybe their hearts, which the artist may or may not be able to connect with. But it's interesting that you said the word safe, because I've seen that on Instagram, and I don't necessarily challenge it, but sometimes I wonder if I'm not being safe enough, right? Because that's the logic route to take of, doing what's necessary because you're supposed to do that, or consistently try to find ways to push the needle so that, maybe you can change the outlook and how things are going about for photographers. There's that tussle there, especially again because it gets highlighted every day you open your phone. You get to see it, right? And you get everybody that attempts to pick up a camera and think they can do it because they see it all the time, think it's that easy, but it's really not. There's really some detail into it and some some reps and sets that have to be put in to really be able to execute at a high level consistently.
Right.
So it's funny that you said that, but again, that's the battle of being a photographer and trying to figure out how to navigate through that.
Right. Exactly. Yeah.
In your wildest dreams, like put yourself in your ideal future self that landed that job that you're aspiring to get today, or that client, or even just that shoot in general. Where do you want to be, let's say 5 or 10 years from now with photography? Where would you like to see yourself?
Yeah, the first thing that comes to mind is really being able to execute or basically translate an idea into reality. That's the most important thing. Okay. Ease of use, having the equipment that, hey, I have an idea. Let's adjust this lighting this way. Let's do this pose. Like all that communication that comes between my idea, the camera, and the lighting and the situation, it just flowing. Yeah. You know what I mean? That's what I really would like to see. That's what I'd really be satisfied with. You know what I mean? I'd really like to see like mood board to execution, just more seamless.
Yeah.
So a camera that, like a setup that I can work with, that's an extension of my ability.
Yeah.
That works in sync. And to me, that's the key word, sync.
Yeah.
Everything syncing.
What would that camera be?
I'm not the type of person that's married to like any certain type of a brand.
Okay.
You know what I mean? Because I think that things could be adjusted with the lighting, sometimes post, and different things. So whatever works for me, I'm not even against the idea of having different systems, a Leica and a Sony, you know what I mean, and a Hasselblad to do different things.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Absolutely.
So and I think that's one of the biggest barriers that I crossed, is that thinking that one thing does it all. It doesn't. Yeah. It really doesn't. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And I'm okay with using the different brands, the different setups.
Yeah.
It's perfectly fine.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So what would be your ideal setup if you can create your ideal camera setup in your own studio, because you own your own studio? If you had big client, very famous or whatever, and you had to do, some print campaign or commercial ad or whatever, like what would be your ideal setup that if you had it at your disposal right now, like what would that be? Give me the camera.
Oh, the camera? Yeah. Okay.
Camera and lens.
Yeah. It always comes down to a high performing focus camera. Okay. Something that could lock onto the eye, and something that has a very, very good lens.
Yeah.
So that's why I love Leica lenses for that reason. Mm-hmm. Something with that syncs with the flash, mm-hmm. Very well. That's mostly it. Nailing the focus.
Yeah.
is the number one for me.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Anything that I can do that I don't have to do in post.
Yeah.
And where I know I have a higher hit rate, that's what I want.
Do you think gear still impress the client? So if you have that very famous, client, do you need that Hasselblad or that Leica to impress them, can you use an entry level Sony, and still get the shot? Do you think that part of the process still exists? Of the gear has to impress the client?
I think no.
You don't think so?
That's a definitely no. That's a definite no. I have to say the only thing that matters now is the result. The first thing they see is not your camera. They see your photos.
Yeah.
So, that's what they want. That's what they're going toward.
Yeah.
And they don't care what you have. Yeah. They don't care how you do it. As a matter of fact, I think they're more fascinated by finding a new way that a photographer operates.
Yeah.
They're like, wow, they do this with this.
Absolutely.
It's not what I'm expecting. You know what I mean? As long as that relationship between the photographer and the team and the talent are good, nothing else matters. So I think that if anything, I just want to create more of a better environment for the talent and the crew to feel at home, to feel comfortable, for it to be fun. You know what I mean? And all the rest, that's on us, that we do our homework on our gear.
Absolutely.
Stuff like that. But I don't think your gear matters as long as you make the most of it. Yeah.
I agree. For us photographers, I think video, that stigma is there because people swear they know what is great for whatever. What is that, a black magic? Or because they see, all the black magic videos, or just the rave that it gets on, some of the performance items that it has. Is that a Ari or Alexa, like all that stuff? I think video matters. That conversation is had more for whatever reason. Not the same, but I can get high quality video on my Canon that I can get, on a Black Magic. But if they're around sets or productions that utilize a certain camera, I hear that question more than, to your point, I agree with the photographer. Some people do ask though. They're like, "Oh, what camera is that?" I'm like, "It's a Canon, R5C." Oh, okay. A lot of people don't shoot with that. Well, I do. And the results are pretty consistent.
Yeah.
So I agree with you on that one. But I have found questions, or even requests when it comes to video, which is weird because almost all cameras shoot video really well.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Don't get me wrong. Gear makes a big difference.
100%.
Absolutely. I know it does.
And I wasn't going against you saying that it doesn't.
Right.
Yeah.
But I think it's very, very rare for clients to ever ask me like, "Oh, is that like, what kind of camera do you use? Is this or this?" They don't really ask me that. But I think what's important is that, if anything, I think they're more impressed by us having the gear that they did not expect. So it's more of a respect to know that you can extract more out of your equipment than somebody that has a more expensive name camera. But there's just certain looks that certain cameras can give and others don't. But I don't think that, at least in my experience, the client is just disappointed with the type of camera that you use.
Absolutely.
It's just like what initially brought them to us.
Absolutely.
So.
And I oftentimes feel like it's just a tester of, hey, do you know your gear? It's like, what kind of camera is that? It's a Canon. Okay, why'd you choose that one? Like, well, because this, and this. Sometimes it's for the sake of small talk, but sometimes I feel like they are questioning because they have some knowledge, and they're wondering if, what I tell them aligns with what they know, or if I'm exposing them to something a little more advanced based off of why I choose to shoot what I choose. So sometimes I do feel, like it's like an interview type of deal. It's like, why do you shoot with Canon and all the other guys or photographers I've shot with shoot with Sony? What are you doing different? Because a lot of people think they all do the same, and overall they do. They can get the image for you, but the process is different. The options differ, right? And that's what separates why we go with which brand. So interesting. Definitely got to appease that person in front of us, but I do find a lot of curiosity on why we operate the way we do. Even as photographers, I'm always interested, right? Like, why do you choose Sony? And I have theories, I'm not gonna say them here because I don't want to embarrass anybody, but I have theories about when people buy certain cameras, because sometimes it's just they fall victim of just what's hot and what's popular instead of doing the research. So when you get those people that have those cameras, or even like you mentioned, like a Leica, a lot of people don't know what Leicas are. Right. Or a Hasselblad. A lot of people don't know what Hasselblad.
Even less, yeah.
Yeah. So you can tell sometimes in those conversations of who's serious and who isn't. Right. When you say Hasselblad, like, okay, you know what you're talking about. Medium format. A lot of people don't know what medium format is. Or you're just knowing the difference between the different formats. Like, sometimes we may even do that to even just see where that level of understanding is within the field.
Right. Yeah, you're right. The question can be kind of like different reasons for the questions.
Yep.
You know what I mean?
Yep.
Yeah, I can appreciate that. I think at the end of the day, though, at least for me, if you only stick to one system and don't try others, you're really limiting yourself, because others have like such a like a rich history in just their lenses. You know what I mean? And there's no perfect camera that has them all. They all have their limitations and their strengths. Yeah. But I love exploring the different brands, and they're what makes them different. Because they're just so amazing. Like, you know what I mean? Like Fujifilm has their own thing. Amazing. Hasselblad has their own thing. And Leica, the performance of Sony. Sony's, been my bread and butter, because of the autofocus that I mentioned earlier. Yep. But
I'm disappointed because you haven't mentioned Canon yet.
Yeah, I can't speak about Canon because I don't know enough about Canon,
Absolutely.
But it's funny, when I was a kid and I used to go and develop my film from the disposable cameras. One of the first conversations I had about Nikon and Canon, because I feel like those were the two that were at the top during that time. Yep. I remember asking the developer, like, oh, which one's better? And he straight up told me, oh, Canon's a better camera. Nikon is just the best lens. So, he told me that, a long time ago. And that always stuck with me. I'm like, wait, there's a difference. Yeah. It matters. Like a lens matters. I thought it was just, they're all the same, but no, so.
Oh, the lens is the deciding factor, as we have become to know.
Right.
Yeah. No, I get it. That makes a lot of sense. So I love all shooters too. I haven't tried other brands. For me, it's more muscle memory and to preserve my sanity, right? I know on the Canon cameras, the layout, the buttons and stuff like that. I think it just helps to keep me more sane, because I know how to navigate that comfort level. But I do agree, every brand has a lot to offer.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, they do.
And probably the more that you get into it, the more you'll get exposed to other brands, and you'll be able to, cross those lines a lot easier. I haven't had that exposure and opportunity yet, but I do agree. Like, when that time comes, like, I'll be more than open to it, because I know Sony's great for a lot of great things. Maybe in the DSLR mirrorless world, they're younger in comparison, but they've dominated the commercial space, and the big the TV cameras in that space, the camcorders, that space for a long time. That they're definitely proven to be one of the tops for a reason. So yeah, definitely. And Nikon, even now at this point, has transformed tremendously. Would definitely give them opportunity. And any other brand, I love Fuji for the feel of it, and it gives the perception of that film camera, that old school, not clunky, but that metal, raw exterior. Like, I love it. It gives you that real camera feel, where a lot of our newer cameras look more plasticky, which, they still cost the same. But that Fuji, that Leica, like you mentioned, like, it just gives you that idea, or that portrait of, what we saw cameras as younger kids and what they look like.
Right. There's a lot more character, I feel, in their image.
Yeah.
And it gives us a good idea of what the final product is going to look like.
Absolutely.
whereas Sony cameras are more like the sharper, image
Yeah.
that is just ready to be fixed later in post.
Yeah.
And it doesn't have as much of that bold character that those other cameras that you mentioned do.
Yeah.
So it just depends what you're looking for.
Absolutely. How have you navigated through today's time of photographers having to transform into content creators? Do you consider yourself a content creator, or you're sticking to the title as a photographer?
Yeah, I've never considered myself a content creator. No. Yeah, because I as you can probably relate, we got into this for a certain reason.
Yeah.
And we're trying to perfect that. We spent so much time in that goal, on that goal. So since we're still on that road, we want to get there. You know what I mean? So I don't consider myself a content creator. I just want to perfect the photograph and everything that leads up to it. More than anything. And just kind of make videos and films on what inspired me the most. That aesthetic that I always loved. In video. So I'm more for the long form of videos rather than the quick 30-second.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
With the rise of social media, are you optimistic that photography will still have a place as it continues to evolve, or are you a little nervous on how things are transforming in the whole photography realm with that blend of the content creator versus the photographer or videographer role?
I think photography will always have a place. And
Okay.
the reason I say that is because the first things that come to mind are magazines and billboards. Mm-hmm. Even the still image for a movie.
Yeah.
There needs to be that amazing, single photograph that we see.
Yeah.
It always has to be there.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So photography, is not a dying art form in any sense. Yeah. It's just that it would be to our strength to always acknowledge and be aware of what is social media, where is it heading? Yeah. You know what I mean? Like, why is a certain thing working? You know what I mean? And it all comes down to who are we? If it's grabbing our attention, it's saying something about our evolution and something about us, our psyche.
Yeah.
So
I like it. Where do you stand when it comes to AI and photography? How is that relationship or that marriage? Are you comfortable with it? Are you not at all diving into it yet? Like, what is your relationship with AI thus far in the photography realm?
Good question. I think that you cannot not be involved in it.
Yeah.
It's already a part of us.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like everything that any technology is on some scale of artificial intelligence. Yeah. Even if you want to call it a different name, like any high technology is using it in some way, even before it was called that.
Yeah.
I got to say that AI has existed before it was called AI, and it's been around for a long, long time.
Yeah.
It was just a different name. So it's to our advantage to appreciate it and use it where we can.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I know in the medical field, like it's a blessing. Yeah. You know what I mean? Stuff like that. But for content creators, it accelerates our process. Mm-hmm. And I think that you can't erase our creativity within it as well. Yeah. It's, you know what I mean? So as long as we keep honing our skills and making ourselves better, and we use AI to complement that, then we're much more ahead of the game than if we were to just use AI. Because at the end of the day, only the real artists will take the most out of AI to their advantage.
Yeah.
Agreed. It's to our advantage to hone our skills in AI. Definitely.
Absolutely.
So
I like it. AI is definitely is here, like you said. And either you get with it or get lost. Use it to your advantage. You can abuse it like the general person may do to get that end result, or you can treat it with a level of integrity that just enhances your workflow and complements what you've already created. Have it as a complementary item rather than a full solution base and creating things from scratch. I like the idea of getting to learn how to manage it and not freaking out because it's here and it's in our face, and it's being advertised on social media and it kind of looks like it's um, overpowering and taking over. But like you said, like there's been forms of it been in existence, from since the beginning of time. Automation, was something that was people that were scared of, but it helped to, increase the output and the workflow. There's been a lot of things that have been automated, not quite artificial intelligence, but things that have been into place to kind of you know cut down on time, which is essential. And essentially, that's what AI is doing. Even with just like writing notes, taking notes, or I always give a shout out to my younger brother because he's in the technology field, and he told me to look at it like an assistant, with like Claude and Chat GPT and all that stuff. Because I had looked at it like others, younger people that I work with, and how they utilize it for it to be their brain. And I was like, I'm never doing that. But my younger brother told me, was like, well, maybe not like that, but you do want it to help you with a thought. That's how you utilize it, like an assistant. And when I looked at it from that standpoint, I had a different point of view. And, I started to incorporate it a lot more, and where it's not generating the entire idea, but it is allowing me to get to that 100%, and I'm getting to that 80 just off of what's in my head. So I have learned to work on that relationship and grow with it. And a lot of conversations within our realm want to cancel it out, but it's really necessary, and it's going to be beneficial if you utilize it right.
Right. No, I agree. The higher the technology goes, the more dangerous it becomes to the skill that we either have or are building.
Absolutely.
You know what I mean? So take like, simple things, like not even simple, but like, driving, we have automated cars. Well, what does the skill of a driver mean, in the future when we don't have to drive anymore?
Absolutely.
Stuff like that. So, at the end of the day, it's exploring what makes us human, what our skills are.
Yeah.
And if you take a certain joy from that, then you don't take a certain joy from AI at that point.
Absolutely.
So, the artificial intelligence technology in general, is a threat to our spirit, is a threat to our intelligence. If you are forgetting your own skill and leaving it only to the technology.
Agreed.
So, me personally, I feel that, what makes us human is being able to express ourselves.
Yeah.
And, the beauty of our creativity. So, I feel like, as long as we're aware, like, where are we using AI?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? That's why I love it so much in the medical field, and certain things when it comes to safety, making our lives richer.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? But I think, possibly creativity that's where our biggest battle is with it right there.
Absolutely.
You know what I mean? So, again, not forgetting what makes us human, and taking joy in the fact that we as human beings are capable of creating something amazing.
Absolutely.
And taking pride in that.
Absolutely.
And letting us always be above AI in that sense.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
No, I like it. Great insight. It's definitely the insight you must have in today's environment. to help you navigate and to really take advantage of the tools and the resources in front of us because we're in a great time.
Yeah.
Honestly, the equipment works better than ever.
Mhm.
The access is greater than ever. So you'll be remiss if you don't take advantage of it for sure.
What's interesting too is that this conversation that we're having now is the same conversation that people were having in the 1800s.
100%.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Industrial Revolution or any other technology has always been moving up.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Until everything is destroyed and then we have to start from the beginning.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
in the meantime, it's you can't slow it down because it's too convenient for our progress.
Absolutely.
So it's not a new topic. And at the end of the day, do you have a skill that people can appreciate, including yourself?
Yeah.
Or is it something that, people don't really care about and they would rather just get the product quicker and more efficiently and this and that? And it's almost like on the same topic of, do we make things for ourselves because we have a vision and an inspiration? What drove us and how are we going to be pioneers? Or do we want to make what people are expecting and what people in the trend, what's hot right now? Which one do we want the most? And so, again, finding that balance and that finding a good point where, we can do both.
Yeah.
Be creative. And AI is there to enrich us as well.
Absolutely.
So.
No, I like it. As the owner of a studio, take a minute to talk about yourself because all photographers don't have the luxury and the beauty to own their own studio. Mm-hmm. What are some projects or some things you would like to get executed, even if it's done in your own studio? What's some things that you have on your to-do list?
Yeah, to me, I want to make anything I want to push myself to the limit, and they're really I don't even know that limit, but I want to be able to do as much as I can in here.
Yeah.
I never thought I would have a podcast in here, but I was never opposed to it.
Yeah.
And just basically doing the most I can with this square footage.
Yeah.
Make it look like it's a big studio. And there's just nothing that I don't want to create in here. You know what I mean? Something
Absolutely.
that could be on a billboard. I want to create in here as well. All the biggest names, I want to have them in here, but I also want to have those people that have never had the chance to be known.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I have a passion for musicians.
Yeah.
I have a passion for live performances. So I really want to do it all here,
Absolutely.
and I just want to put in the work. And like I said, work with established people, but also discover people as well. Yeah. Cool.
I like it. Musicians, thriving talent, established talent. This is the studio for you because it's here. And the man, the photo guy that owns it is calling for you. Give him time, though. Don't all rush him at once. We're building.
That's right.
But I like it. It's inspiring for me because it is definitely a goal that I've always had. It's become more of a parent goal as of late to really go forward with it, just whatever makes sense. So it allows you some freedom and a space to create endlessly, without restriction, outside of, the square footage of the space. But outside of that, you can really create anything that you want to here. And like you said, you can open that door for other creators to be able to execute on their vision as well, which is inspiring. It's great that's your insight or your outlook, because you can very easily say, I got a studio, I just want me to get all the money in here, which is, I'm sure, a goal. But even to take time out to open the door for others to build on their vision is very important too. And I think that's important for us as a community to consistently do, right? Put ourselves in great positions to give back, right? Like you don't get to a certain point and just stay there. You go to the top of the mountain and then you go back down and help somebody else up. That's supposed to be how it works. So it's inspiring that that's your outlook, brother.
Yeah, you can't do it by yourself. You know
Yeah.
what I mean? And uh, I just see so much beauty and potential in having talented people like in this space.
Mhm.
You know, I want them to. I want to bring out the best in them.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And I'm going to learn a lot from them as well. You know, just in subtle ways. You know what I mean? Every time that I see truly great talent, you know, an amazing voice, and just that creative mind from creative people and artists, you know, that's what pushes me to work with them. You know
Absolutely.
what I mean? So I just want to propel them, and I get enough joy just working with them. You know, so
Absolutely.
I feel like I'm on the right path with working with them.
Blazing. You're blazing
Yeah.
the right path, brother, and I salute you.
Thank you, bro.
Definitely amazing. Picture Perfect's conversation. What's the final word? And your socials where they can find you. Leave the people with maybe a nugget or two that'll help another photo god along their path. What would you tell a young pup get into this to help them navigate through? And don't forget to shout yourself out.
Thank you. I got to say that if you're here, it's because you have a passion for this type of craft. You're already in the right place. I got to say, don't stop doing what you're passionate about. You know, it's there for a purpose.
Yeah.
If it makes you feel a certain way, then you can't be wrong. I feel like what you feel is a certain level of truth. You know, it's communicating with you. Um, so you gotta listen to it, respect it, hone the craft, and don't stop.
Absolutely.
Don't stop. If you guys want to follow or just check out my page, it's under Marcelo Ramos underscore studios. And I appreciate you guys.
Absolutely. Picture Perfect Conversations. We are here. Photo guys get the highlight because they are the reason why you get to enjoy the beautiful images and the creations in general. And I want to make sure that they're highlighted. So thank you again for the hospitality in your studio, my brother, and more to come. Picture Perfect Conversations. This is Court Chip.